everybody. Welcome to High and Dry Podcast, the only podcast keeping alive the fandom of Dark Angel, Jessica
Mm,
Alba. I'm your
mm,
host,
mm.
Ryan Barron North. With me, as always,
Oof.
James Crossland. James, how's it going? Thinking of Jessica Alba now?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Jessica Alba, it launched her career of being the hottest woman in television for like 15 years.
what
Uh she
What
she
happened
was
to
like,
Jessica Alba?
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't think she's a particularly good actress. So I think that probably started to to weigh her down as Hollywood was like, you're 30 now. She was
And it
like,
was just
and they were like, all right, can you act? And she's like, not really. Well, like, goodbye then. Should
well,
learn to act. Damn it.
it was the other the one that sort of time forgot. Jennifer Love Hewitt. She
Mm.
also vanished in that same sort of time period right there.
She was on a she was on a show where she was a medium. She was like a ghost. A ghost.
Wasn't it Medium?
No, was it just medium? I thought it was something much dumber. Hold on, Jennifer Love
or
Hewitt.
or Ghost? I don't
It
remember
was ghost
anymore.
something. It was ghost
Yeah,
something, and it was
Ghost Whisper.
very.
Was it Ghost Whisperer?
I think it might be Ghost Whisperer,
Okay,
which
yeah.
is hilarious. It was a such a bad show. Anyway, I don't think we're here to talk about Ghost
No, yes,
Whisperer.
we're here to talk about Dark Angel. So, for those of you joining us
Oh
for
my
the
god,
first time,
there were 107 episodes of Ghost Whisperer.
well, someone liked it, so I'm glad they're getting these references. So hey, for those of you joining us for the first time, welcome. For those of you who've been here before, welcome back. We've been on sort of a break for a little while now. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to everyone out there on our first episode of the new wave that is High and Dry. We're a podcast that talks about philosophy, pop culture, all those sorts of fun things. And we're kind of changing it up a little bit now. We're going to be looking today at the film Vicious Night, our Santa Claus film. We decided we're going to do something a little
It's
Christmassy for
it's
all you guys.
it's Violent Night. It's
Oh my
not Vicious
God.
Night.
I don't know why I've been getting that mixed up. We've done three of these shows in a row now, and I think I'm just still a little inebriated. So I got to get the title right. So Violent Night. We're going to be doing Violent Night, our Santa film this today, and we're going to break it down a little bit. We're going to get into some sober thoughts. We're going to then go into some enlightened thoughts, and then we're going to do a few what ifs. But how we're going to get into those enlightened thoughts is that we're going to get a little drunk and we're going to get a little high. So James, what are you smoking this week?
I'm smoking a very heavy indica called Kush Mountain because I need to be desensitized from all of this violence or viciousness, as you would
All this
say,
viciousness.
that happened during this movie.
Yep, the families gathering around the fire to watch all this viciousness. Lovely, lovely, and I'll be joining you with Redwood Empire. It's my weekend pour. A little special occasions. It's our first episode back here. Sort of a first episode back. We did a few, but this will be our first one to air. So I felt
We
we're
got
gonna
some in the tank.
yeah, we got some in the tank now, but yeah, I'm gonna drink my special little Redwood Empire. It's 100 horsepower. It's gonna get the job done. Gonna get me where I need to be. So here's the
Nice.
first one. Goes to Violent Night. Cheers.
Cheers. I'm supposed to do it, aren't I? That's smooth. Tastes like the mountains.
Lovely. Oh, speaking of mountains, so it is Christmas. I got these new whiskey glasses that have Mount Everest in the crystal right at the bottom right there. And you
Oh,
could put them in the
nice.
freezer and it instantly cools your whiskey as it hits. It's very good. Very good. Yeah. Mm. So
Taking
let's.
a little bit of adventure on every drunken escapade.
That's right. It's like I'm standing on the pole of Everest. So what's our second shot to? What are we doing this to?
I mean, I think we definitely have to do a toast to Jessica Alba,
Yes. Yes.
the star of the hits like "Good Luck, Chuck" and the love guru,
Ah, yes.
little Fockers,
Oh boy.
Spy Kids 4.
I'm
you,
starting to
you
think
know,
it wasn't her fault at all. It was a series of writers and bad decisions
are
on the
you
part of
telling
her
me that
agent.
the Are you telling me the Entourage movie wasn't her pinnacle, and a beloved franchise that continues to merge the pop culture with
Oh my
drama?
god. The only thing that fucking Entourage makes me think is how upset I was to find out that Jeremy Piven. We'll have to open our allegation encyclopedia to really see break it down what he did. But didn't we learn that he was a bit of a dickbag?
I don't know, but he always plays a dickbag. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like a bad
I was
act.
hoping it was an act.
He might just be a bad actor and be a dickbag, and so it's very easy. That's very
Could
easy
be.
for him. I've never
It
I've
could
never
be.
seen him do anything else.
No, well, I mean, he was in. Well, here's to Jessica Alba.
Just cheers.
Oh, for those of you who are curious, who like to imbibe with whiskey, the Redwood Empire kicks like a mule, but it's got a wonderful cherry flavor. Really, really enjoy.
My that's awesome. I like whiskey from time to time. My weed has a really fire flavor. It tastes like
Ooh.
smoke and ashes.
I think something is wrong with your pipe.
Yeah, I need to clean it out. But Kush Mountain's usually really good. Tastes like floral, and
Lovely.
it's got real sedative effects. So this one I'm going to be really chill.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I don't remember how I was on the Redwood Empire last time, but we're gonna find out. I think that's an indicator of its own. So here's the third one. Here's to coming back as high and dry, being with friends, and happy holidays, everybody.
Yeah, and also innovating, much like the movie Entourage.
Featuring
Cheers.
Jessica Alba and Jeremy Piven. But yeah, I'll have to consult our allegation encyclopedia.
Yeah, I wonder what allegations Jessica Alba has against her.
Oh yeah. Oh well, a lot, a lot, without a doubt. I know she's listening right now. Very upset.
Making
Just this is by far her least favorite episode of High and Dry that Jessica Alba's ever listened to. Oh
all of the
yes,
allegations are just that she makes bad decisions about
yeah, pretty
movies.
much. Yeah. Yeah, meanwhile, Piven faced several allegations of sexual assault and misconduct, which surfaced between 2017 and 2018. Multiple women. God damn it, Piven.
Classic.
Fucking Piven. All right, you piece of shit. Well, it's time to get into it. So, tonight we're talking about Violent Night. We're doing our little holiday episode there. We're going to break it down in three ways for you: our sober thoughts, our enlightened thoughts, and a what if scenario. So, let's start with those sober thoughts before that Redwood Empire makes it to my bloodstream. James, what were your thoughts on the film, Violent Night?
I thought this film was I thought it was good. I think that this
Question mark?
movie I think that my I left this movie feeling mostly positive about it. I think that it was. I think it could have been better. I think a lot of movies could be better, obviously,
Yeah.
but for what it was enjoyable. There were a few things that definitely got me. I don't want to throw up all my lines really quick,
Yeah.
but a few of them that got me was like when it oscillated between like the goriness and the silliness when he pulls his special hammer out of the sleigh and she goes skull crusher, the girl like
Yeah.
excitedly
Yeah.
says skull crusher. That really worked for me. I thought that was pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, so I liked the oscillation. I thought sometimes it was clumsy, but more often than not it left me with a very happy feeling. How about
Okay.
you?
All right. Well, yeah. So for me, first I want to say that there's an episode coming where we will be discussing Rebel Moon, directed by Zack Snyder. And after that episode, a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, they just trash movies." No, we just trash bad movies. Point
Yeah.
in case, let's talk about Violent Night. I had a lot of good to say.
Yeah.
I, I,
There's a lot of good to say about this movie.
I think there was a lot of great things to say about it. I thought that David Harbour. I've become a fan of David Harbour. I just love seeing actors sort of appear when they're middle aged. You know, it's
Yeah.
just he's a walking reminder that you don't have to let your dreams die. You can do this after you've gotten a little up there. But I love everything he does. He just brings a great energy to everything. What I enjoyed particularly about this movie was I liked the liberties they took with Santa. I enjoyed
Yeah.
that he was a Viking, that he was an ex-Viking.
Spoilers, I guess, but we're if you don't know
Yeah,
that we're gonna talk
we're
about the
talking about the
intricacies of the
fucking
movie.
movie. What am I supposed to do? But yeah, I loved the liberties they took with Santa. I loved a lot of the messages that went forward. It could have just been that I had been drinking all day at that point. I was touched. I enjoyed it, and I loved the music. I thought they picked great songs for the scenes of gratuitous violence. I
Yeah, I didn't notice them. I might need to rewatch. I'd be willing to rewatch this movie to check out some of the to pay attention to that point because I kind of missed it.
really, yeah. So especially when he's sort of dusted off the cobwebs of the things holding him back, and he just goes ham with the sledgehammer he finds and
Yeah,
wipes out like a SWAT team essentially.
yeah.
They picked a great song for it. I was really getting into it. I was enjoying the hell out of it.
Well, I didn't notice the music, but sometimes that's a good thing. If it's just like if it fits so well, you're not like that didn't work or something like that. If sometimes most of the things we talk about when we say this is a good movie are things that are unnoticed. It's little things that are done that you don't really pick up on that make a movie good. Good transitions where motion is maintained, keeping the story and plot and dialogue moving. Those are things that you don't really notice much. And same with score. It's like an amplifier for what's occurring on screen. And it's great that you noticed it and were able to bring that to the table. I didn't
Yeah.
notice at all. I was just it for me. It just flowed really well.
And so for me personally, I sort of view the world and my writing and everything like that just through a lens of the song that accompanies it. So
Mm.
it's a more natural way for me to sort of think. So I will always notice what they chose to play at the time. And for this one, I enjoyed the hell out of it. I really did. Even as not particularly a huge fan of Christmas jams, I enjoyed these Christmas jams. Well, so while we still have
Well,
a
this
couple
one turned it
minutes
on its
left,
head, right?
yeah, yeah. Well, while we have a couple minutes left of our sober thoughts, I feel mine are quickly running away from me. It's that
Yeah.
Redwood Empire. Is there anything that you didn't really appreciate? Anything that you didn't care for?
I thought that sometimes the movie forgot that it was campy. It really it should have it some in some places it took itself too seriously again. And we also had a lot of unearned character redemption, like the dad. I hated the dad.
Oh, yeah, and
He
he
did
got
not
everything
deserve
back. Christmas
for
magic, man.
for
Christmas
doing
magic.
nothing. For doing nothing.
For actually being
What
a
that
bad dude
yeah,
for
for
committing
actually being
robbery.
a real piece of shit. And
Yeah.
the kid and the boy Bertrand and
Oh,
or
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Bertrude
Bertrude. Bertrude.
and and his mom,
That was good.
they they they're terrible. And at the end of the movie they're just like, oh, everything's
I
great again. It's
believed
like,
it.
no, those people tried to get their black in law, relative woman murdered. Are you telling me that that's just a coincidence that these people immediately like you should take the black woman? It was very obvious to me, and they're terrible fucking people.
No, they're
And
all terrible.
Santa should have then sledgehammered them and all in the heads, and it would have been a better end.
Well, to a point on that, so I do enjoy the genre. Well, there's only about two that I could think of off the top of my head, but I enjoy the genre of a normal, regular person who appreciates life and hasn't been completely poisoned by greed and money, marrying into a family like this, and it becomes a comedy horror. The other one I could think of was it was when this young woman, she marries into a very rich toy family. They made their entire money, like they were essentially like an eviler Hasbro, I guess. And she marries. I'm gonna have to find that. I'll find it eventually. I don't have that Joe Rogan guy we were talking about. But in that movie, spoiler alert, by the way, if you haven't seen this movie, I can't think of the title of. At the end, her entire new in-law family explodes. Like they each one individually explodes from this ghost's curse, and so I like to see that sort of come up. And that, yeah, so
Yeah,
you're right. You're right. That didn't happen in Violent Night. They didn't get their come up. No one really seemed to, except
yeah.
for the poor kid who circumstance turned him into an evil mercenary who hates Christmas.
Also, the guy who's an idiot and who's like a male model, like
God.
he doesn't seem particularly evil. He just seems like an idiot. And he got murdered. He got his comeuppance.
Yeah, yeah, immediately, like real fast too. Like that was instant.
Yeah. So I don't know. Ugh. Yeah, so that's where I felt the movie missed the mark. It missed the mark in a few places. I don't feel like that guy should have gotten his wife and daughter back. That daughter's wish was granted, but essentially she's going to be living in a, a, a broken home because her
Yeah,
parents are back together instead of like moving forward and learning how to cope.
and be better people in general. Yeah, and the movie I
Yeah,
was thinking of was Ready or Not. It was Ready or Not.
I see.
Yeah,
I do like horrors where a normal person marries into a crazy like a rich family that has no morals. That also happens in Fall of the House of Usher, which I
yes.
haven't seen the last episode, so don't ruin it for me.
Okay, I will not. But if you like that, check out Ready or Not. Check it out. I'm telling you, you're going to enjoy that. You're going to enjoy that a lot.
Okay.
Well, so it's
Okay.
time to move into our second portion. Check out Ready or Not. Second portion now. It's time to get into our enlightened state, where we've had a few now. I could definitely feel it bubbling on through my head. It's time
Oh
for our
yeah.
final hit and shot, and it's time to talk about what we understand better about this violent night. I would say this one right here, this little final guy, I'd like it to go to David Harbour. He makes everything that I see him in much better. I am a big fan of David Harbour. So, cheers.
Cheers. Cheers, David Harbour. I gotta say, I hated him in season 3 of Stranger Things. Like he ruined that season for me. But I think it's really important to say that David Harbour is great at comedy and he should be used for comedy and let loose on comedy a lot more often. The best parts of this movie were the comedic bits. He was
Yeah.
good at violence. He was good at being intimidating. He's a giant man with with perpetual dick face, and
Mm-hmm.
he's very funny. In addition to that, the parts that failed for me were where they were like, I don't know what I'm doing, kid. Like it was a Die Hard reference, right? They even say Die Hard
Yeah.
in the
Oh,
movie.
well, at one point he pulls out a Die Hard Blu-ray from his sack, and I'm like, oh, that was pretty
Yeah,
clever. That was a good. Yeah, we know what we're doing. This is Santa with Die Hard. There it is for you.
they
So
should have been funnier though. It should have been funnier. I feel like there were some really funny bits, like when they did the 360 of him like a martial artist with twirling the hammer around. I
Yeah,
thought
yeah.
that was I busted out laughing so hard. I had to pause it because I was laughing so much. That shit was so funny.
That's good.
Ugh.
Yeah, no, there was a lot I enjoyed. Well, so what is what's your initial enlightened thought now that it's all starting to hit you? You soaked in the movie, you soaked in the cannabis. What's coming to you?
My initial thoughts of this movie are more this movie didn't make me think, which which I don't know if that's a bad thing to say or not, but it didn't. I felt like it didn't really make me think that much in a good way. So I think when we talk about movies, we're kind of like, this movie didn't make me think, it was empty, or this movie didn't challenge me in any way, and therefore it's not a good movie. Sometimes we fall into that kind of trap. But
Mm-hmm.
there are movies that don't make you think that are also good.
Beavis and Butthead
And
Do America. Yeah,
yeah, that movie is Beavis and Butthead Do America. I've watched it as an adult, and that movie holds up. It is
it does.
so funny.
It
It is
does.
so funny, and and it doesn't say the things it says are not like against any kind of like of our
No,
modern attitudes.
no,
It
he never hit down.
lampoons what it does is it lampoons like the reality of those situations. and and I think that this movie similarly makes you not really think that much. But also the motion, the pacing, all of it's really enjoyable. And I think my biggest high thought is that it comes down to how movies are made today. It's like modern filmmaking, especially with action filmmaking, that engages audience, keeps motion, doesn't make you think, but still leaves you with an enjoyable feeling. And I think
Yeah,
that this did it more times than not. And
yeah.
the times where
Mm-hmm.
it didn't do it was where it was slow, and there wasn't action, and they weren't letting them go comedic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's definitely a good point. And I don't know why we mentioned it. I mean, like, look, guys, you're listening to a drunken high podcast. All right, we're gonna meander. We're gonna meander. All right, we start talking about Beavis and Butthead in the middle of it. But I guess one of the
But it's
things
good
that
that
kind of
this movie reminds us of other good movies. That's
of
the
other
thing.
good
Is it,
films.
it
Yeah, yeah. No,
yeah,
I mean, obviously, Beavis and Butthead Do America was, masterpiece of our generation, and well, that no, Mike Judge is Gen X, so of the previous generation, and
yeah.
it's one of the only good things they did after Fight Club. And um, sorry, Gen X. I would say there was a few moments in there where, I mean, like Trudy, the little girl in the movie, she keeps talking about how to Santa to sort of get him back to who he was, to use his dark side to do good. And I was wondering, like, well, what's the statement there? Is this movie for soldiers? What are they trying to say? Who is
I think what they're trying to say is violence should be stoked in men for them fulfilling their role as protectors.
is that what it was? Is that what it's supposed
I
to
think
be?
so. I think
Well,
so.
I mean, but Trudy was doing some dark shit, and I did love that part where she was kept talking
Yes.
about Home Alone, and they showed us how fucking brutal those traps that Kevin McAllister would actually be.
Right.
Oh yeah, no, go fall wildly down some stairs onto some nails, right? You don't just get
Yeah.
poked in the butt and run out the door yelling. No, you see some shit. Things get
Yeah.
nasty.
And
You
it
take
was
a
funny.
Yeah, and they still made it funny. They still made it funny. So, but yeah, Trudy was doing some violence too, some very very
Yeah.
sinister violence, and it's interesting. That's
Yeah.
interesting. So I don't know. I don't know what the message they were trying to convey there was.
Wait, what about the burning the money? Like I did
Oh
not
yeah, at
understand.
the end, yeah. Let's get, and then
Well,
that didn't even turn out to be what did it.
I know, right? And it's like burning money doesn't make you like a good person. Like at least give it to charity or something. All you're doing is showing that money is absolutely worthless to you.
Yeah, that was, and you hear him. He's like, "We got to get him closer to the fire," and they never got him close.
There's just tinder. There's hay. You took the money out of hay.
That would have gone up like just fucking flash paper, and oh, and
Fucking
it that makes it even worse because we know that the money was there because grandma was paid to distribute it throughout Middle Eastern terrorist groups
right.
and oil magnates.
And at the end,
And
she gets to be like, "Yay, Christmas!"
yeah, so what the hell? And I don't imagine being brought up in this environment like she's great right now by some fluke of just the right amount of good parenting and neglect that she's good right
Yeah,
now. but
that she knows to do violence for good.
but eventually, it's going to go the other way. And I don't imagine Trudy's going to be a good person, 10 years from now.
Oh,
If we
oh
if we
no.
see Violent Night 2, and grandma was finally like, I like the cut of your jib, Trudy. You're going to become the next me. And
Trudy's gonna be like a Red Hood.
yeah, yeah. And she's like always spinning one of those curved daggers on the tip of her finger every time she's in a boardroom meeting, and she like just fucking guts a dude who doesn't agree with the direction of the company. And then Santa has to
Oh,
use his violence.
you think she's gonna be like a Lucy Liu in Kill Bill?
Yeah, yeah, I see that. Because she has that sort of reserved side to her, and there'll just be a scene in Violent Night 2 where she fillets a dude from his anus, up to
It's the
up,
metaphor.
and
I'm being nice. I'm being consider this me being nice.
I didn't say ass. It just fucking fillets this dude in a boardroom. So yeah, I see that, and she'll kill rich people via ingenious traps, and
I
yeah. So
learned this
I
one from Santa Claus.
and you're just as you're being grabbed, fucking what? You're crazy. You're fucking crazy. So I see that for Violent Night too, which, if I'm not mistaken, just when I had briefly glanced at this to talk about it today, I think they are green lighting. Oh yeah. So yeah, as of August 9th of this year, well, I guess it's going to be last year when you guys hear this. So Violent Night 2 gets a promising update from David Harbour, and
No.
they're talking about introducing iconic elements like the elves and Mrs. Claus into Violent Night 2, things that were just sort of mentioned in the first one. So
We have
yes.
to ruin everything that we do well. We
Oh
have
yeah.
to. Why do we have to expand on the lore? That's what I really loved about this movie. I loved sitting back and pondering the lore. Oh, what in
Yeah.
the world? Who could Mrs. Claus be? How could
Oh yeah,
the
and
reindeer?
why are they dealing with marital troubles? Like, what was good? Yeah, like just let me wonder. Let me wonder. Like, and he wasn't Saint Nicholas until later. We learned that he was Nicomund the Red
Yeah,
during the Viking era and stuff like that. And they didn't
I'm
go
fine with
deep
that
into
being
it.
a mystery. I'm fine
Yeah,
with it
let it be
being
a
a mystery.
mystery. Yeah, you know what's even wilder? So this movie, much smaller budget, much it's just going to be fun. Better writing than Zack Snyder's new Rebel Moon.
Oh, oh, can we compare a scene really quick? Can I compare?
Please.
Can I make a quick comparison? Okay,
Please.
so in this movie, this is what I call good filmmaking. Is that in this movie, the way we learn he's a Viking is that in his times of trauma, he's getting like flashbacks to his previous life, and you see it just kind of close up on his face where he's
Mm-hmm.
wearing this. You can tell it's kind of a Viking helmet. And he's got blood. And he's got this 1,000 yard stare, right? And that's how they start conveying this to us, that in his previous life he did violence, and he is it's something that used to be a part of him. It had deeply affected him, and we gain it with visuals over time. And then
Yeah.
when it's time for him to for when these images have given us a tantalizing idea of what it could possibly mean, then only then does he reveal a small portion with these other things that have coalesced in the background.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
Rebel Moon, when you meet the guy, he just says, "Used to be a Viking, and at some point I became Santa Claus, and I don't understand. I never really understood what's going on. I use a hammer. I got this power that lets me go up a chimney if I touch my nose. The reindeer, they're out there somewhere. All right, let's go on to the next spot." And then that's Rebel Moon. And that's the difference between like a
Yeah.
good movie
Yeah.
and a bad movie.
For sure. Yeah, no, if it was so like I'm going to try my best go at it. If it was written by those guys and if it was done by Zack Snyder, in Violent Night he passes out, we see an image of him as a Viking, the audience is like, "Whoa, what's that about? What's going on?" If we flipped it and it was then a project done by Zack Snyder, he would have passed out and he says, "I, Nicomund the Red, once a fierce Viking known for my daring exploits across the sea, found my destiny, transformed in a way I have never imagined. My journey from a life of conquest." And it
and
would have gone on
then
for 20 fucking minutes.
and then he dies, and then we follow a different character.
Oh my God. And I will also like to say that in our Rebel Moon, in this not bash on Rebel Moon podcast, in our Rebel Moon, in our Rebel Moon episode, I had mentioned the visuals were kind of cool, but they were kind of stale. We saw it all in the 300. I've seen all those visuals
Yeah,
before in the 300. And again in the Amazon scene during the Snyder cut of Justice League. So I've seen them before. I
yeah,
preferred Santa Violent Night's visuals. They were very
yeah,
like John Wickian. I almost wanted. They were updated.
yeah.
They were fresh.
They were John Wick, and they absolutely were John Wick, and they were like close-ups. There were close-ups and mid shots where a lot of the Rebel Moon was long shots to show the landscape. Like, I'm sorry, huge wide shots. Sorry, so
Yeah.
there were huge wide shots to show the landscape and stuff, and it made everything just kind of everything was in like the same tone. It was samey. But these ones were like close ups on people and action and movement, and
Mm-hmm.
definitely the henchmen went to the fucking John Wick school of henchmanry, where they
Yeah.
take their guns and run face first into a sledgehammer.
That's
one
the
guy,
only way.
one guy didn't even load his gun before the fight. They had him loading his gun as he fucking. Oh, I gotta load my gun before he gets to me. I haven't shot a single bullet.
But the way they did it was fun. It was fast. Like I literally, you count some of the the slowdown sequences in Rebel Moon, and you could 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi as the single hit is passing by, and the whole shot is just dedicated to back muscles. And I didn't care for it. Yeah. So by the way, we don't care for Rebel Moon. So
we say this isn't a Rebel Moon cast and stuff, but like I feel like it's gonna be affecting how we think about movies going forward. Like Zack Snyder did an amazing job laying out what not to do with a movie, like how to
yeah.
do a movie wrong. That we're gonna be using it as a comparison point a lot.
Yeah, it's gonna happen a lot now. And I think I just read an interview from him. I think it was Vanity Fair, where he stated that I was trying to show people what not to do.
Is it true? Is that true?
No,
If he did, that'd be amazing.
that would be amazing. But yeah, I was trying to show people what not to do. I was getting so fucking sick of seeing shit on TV that you
Oh
shouldn't
my
do.
god.
It's a manual.
That would mind fuck me so hard. Also,
Yeah.
really quick, John Leguizamo was not good in this. he was not a good actor in this.
I
He
I
is
was
he is not he is not terrifying. He is
I
an
was
old
confused by
man.
the whole thing. I was confused by it. I did
He's
what was
he's he's lost his edge. He's no longer a killer clown. He's an old man.
well, I don't know. I wasn't able to really form one because there were parts where I enjoyed it. I did like one of his lines where one of his henchmen was like about to say, "Can he really be the real Santa Claus?" And he responds by saying, "Look, I know you're an idiot. Don't say it out loud."
I thought that was very funny.
Yeah,
That was very
so
good.
I did enjoy that. I did enjoy that. So not all bad on his part. But that being said, so it's time to move into our third portion.
The one henchman who was like, also he might be the real Santa Claus when, when they were telling the kill team. I thought that was also very funny. What
That
the
was pretty
fuck
good.
did you just say?
He might be the real Santa Claus. That was pretty good too. So we're moving on to the third part here. It's now for our what if scenario where we are going to insert whatever we want into this film, whether it's we're going to put in weed and alcohol, whether we're going to put ourselves in, or whether we're going to just put ourselves behind the director's chair. What if, James, you're in control? What are you going to adjust? What are you going to change? What are you going to do here? What happens if you're sitting there instead? You became Santa Claus.
If I became Santa Claus, well,
And you get dieharded.
I think I would be less confused. So weirdly in this movie, this Santa Claus knows how to drive a snowmobile, but doesn't know how to use a gun, which is objectively a much older invention.
Oh yeah, and he
Like
keeps
he,
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, and he keeps calling them gizmos. You're right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
it's like that invention's like 400 years old, and a snowmobile is like 50 years old.
Well, but it is, however, it's within his purview of snow and winter
Of
wonderlands.
snow. That is true. He doesn't know how the powers work. I get it. Got it.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I think in this situation, God, I would have to be. I'd be smoking the whole time. Obviously, oh, what the fuck's going on? And
Whoa!
all these rich people get shot. Whoa! What? But at the end, I would definitely tell Santa Claus to be like, these people are fucking monsters, and they caused way more death than the collective group you just
So you would
sledgehammered.
be a high elf that came along with him?
Yeah, I'd be like, man, these people are way worse. Did you check the list to see if they're nice or naughty? You didn't even check, did you? You checked for all those guys.
But you didn't check for the family. Yeah, that's a good point, though. They never open up the list on anyone but Trudy and the bad guys, like
Yeah,
the distinct bad. That's a good point. That's a solid point.
because that wouldn't be great, would it?
No, that would be a really bad list. Yeah, for me, I would insert myself. So you're like this little high elf that fell into the toy sack before Santa
What the fuck
left.
about these guys? What about these rich pieces of shit?
I would want to show up like as the action's going down. I'd want to show up as Krampus.
You'd insert Krampus into
I
this movie.
I would insert myself as Krampus, and I would just like bust out my branch of birch and just start beating the fuck out of his family. Yeah, I would just start. Yeah, it would be nonstop punishment. And so, like, I would want the scene where, like, there's a few times where he's a little wounded beyond repair, but in one he decides to call in Krampus, and Krampus comes down and just fucking rains Christmas justice, wipes through the SWAT team, all that kind of stuff, beating them with chains and shit, dragging them to hell.
Yeah.
And then Santa's like, okay, cool, thanks for helping us. They all believe in me now. But Krampus is too late. He's been unleashed. And he just starts beating ass through the rest of that mansion. Yeah, so Trudy watches like grandma get dragged to hell. her dad and mom had just made up, and like, oh, I'm not finished with you yet, and I just start beating the fuck out of her father. Yeah, and that's how I would insert myself into this film. Would be definitely the avenging angel of Christmas cheer.
You'd also be the avenging angel of all of those fucking servants who are just doing their jobs,
Oh
who
my
got
god.
murdered for no reason. Like just a
Huh?
bunch of poor workers to this fucking god awful family on Christmas Day or whatever, instead of being with their families.
Oh my
They're
gosh.
they're
Yeah.
they're stuck and they're already miserable, and these people are like, all right, I guess we'll put you out of your misery.
That reminds me of Al. Another, which I'm just realizing now is another reference to Die Hard. The other black man you see is named Al, who was the patrol cop that helped him in the first Die Hard. But
He got shot
he,
immediately.
well, the first thing he says to them is like, "I wish I didn't have to work on Christmas Eve," and they're all just like, "But you do." Thanks, Al. Bye. And like, you're just like, okay, cool. Right on, Al.
Thanks for hustling, Al. Thanks for grinding on their holiday.
And then he just gets his brains blown out, and yeah, that was it. Yeah, no,
I
and I
mean,
would
is
also
that trying to say don't give up your lives to work on your holidays for your rich piece of shit bosses? Is
maybe.
that the
I mean, that
message,
that could
or
that could be a way of saying don't be Al. Quit your
yeah?
job. Get out of it. Maybe, maybe. But yeah, I would also say that I end my Krampus reign of terror when Shirley thinks it's all over, and by lifting Bertrude and putting him into my sack of other children.
Yard buddy, I'm getting kidnapped by Krampus right now. This bullshit.
Yeah, and just yeah, and then just vanish into the shadows with him in my new sack. Yeah, so I would do that. Yeah, that would be my addition for sure. Hmm.
That's perfect. Yeah, I really don't know what I could change about this movie. I just
It was a good
it's
movie. It was a
it
good
was it
movie.
was a good movie. It was really except for the love thing. God, that was so that there that's why this is like not a perfect movie, is that it just made some poor decisions when it came to plant and payoff. Some plants didn't pay off. There were some payoffs that had no plant, and that's where it fell flat. But
Yeah,
overall, pretty good movie.
yeah. No, and I have to agree with you entirely. I'm like I said, I'm not a big Christmas movie fan, and this, but so take it for what you will. But it definitely moved up towards the top three of my favorite Christmas movies, behind Muppet Christmas Carol, of course.
Do you have any quotes that you really liked? Because I actually do have some quotes that I liked from the movie.
Well, please.
I don't know if they were in the trailer or what. I actually didn't watch a trailer for this movie because I didn't want to know. I've started to not like trailers, so I avoid them. But we've got give them their lumps. The girl says to give them their lumps when he says he gives lumps of coal. That's good. Of course, there was the shove it up their anuses.
Yep, a
Was
lot
a
of a
good
lot of
line.
anus talk. Yep.
These were like all these three lines were like right in a row, and I assume they made the trailer. And there was Santa's gonna eat through these guys like a plate of cookies. All very great lines.
Yeah, yeah. No, my favorite one was definitely that one. Like, look, I know you're an idiot. Don't be an idiot out loud. I can't I can't tell you how many times I like he, and that's probably why I didn't mind Leguizamo in that, just because that line, I felt that every day I have ever gone into work ever when it comes to just dealing with things. So I definitely appreciated that. So yeah, so some great lines in this. Great film overall. A few kind of just weird things, but I mean, it's a fucking Christmas movie about Santa with a sledgehammer. So
The one of the scenes with the sledgehammer, like they did a thing where they followed a twirling sledgehammer through the air, but it was just kind of like a flat shot of the twirling sledgehammer, and I was like, at that one, I was like, that was a little. I didn't feel like the rest of the movie matched that. That's why I don't think that was wrong. But I think
Yeah.
the other parts were a little. I think there were certain parts that were a little too serious. And if those parts had been less serious, then following the hammer through the air, just spinning right in center screen, right? That's very funny. And
Yeah.
I would have even said if they had made the rest of the movie just a little more like silly and surreal instead of like sometimes serious. I think we could have let that hammer spin for 2, maybe 3 seconds, and
Yeah.
then had it hit a guy, and that's what I was looking for, just a little more, and
What
then
if
it would
but
have
if
been a
they had
perfect movie.
well had they have done that though, it would have started to look like Rebel Moon. And I don't think
Like
that's
with
what they were going for.
the grenade that took just too long to explode.
Oh
That
my god.
also would have been good if it was funnier, if the whole movie was funnier, if it was like more comedic. I think those bits would have landed better for me. I wanted them to land, but it wasn't overall silly enough. It
Yeah.
needed more.
Well, well, with
The
that being
grenade that took
said,
like 10 seconds.
well, he's got to stop and watch it. Well, with that
Yes,
being said, so there
right.
is Violent Night. Thank you, everyone, so much for listening to this. We're High and Dry Podcast. Please join us. We got coming up. I'm sure you've guessed by now. We have our Rebel Moon episode coming up next. After that,
What you think about it, right?
yeah, so spoilers. We didn't much care for it. Yeah, so after that, so Rebel Moon, after that, we're going to be doing the original Dunes. And what was the last one we already did? What was the. Oh, Alien, of course.